This is a quick video on Bernina 1120. This actually applies, some of this applies to several different Berninas up through, I think, 1200, 800 through 1200. And each one of them is a little bit different, but if you have a Bernina that the back of it looks similar to this, then opening it up is going to be similar. Okay, so if you're opening it up, the first thing that you need to do is remove this screw. There's a plate here. If you just take a really fine tool like this little pry bar and you get under it and you remove it, you'll remove this screw. It's a bigger screw. It takes a bigger screwdriver. Then you have to maneuver this off, usually with two hands. Get that off. You'll have a screw here. Then you're going to turn it over. Okay, and some of them only have 2 screws, some of them will have 3 screws. This one has 3. There's a screw here that has to come out, there's a screw here that has to come out, and there's a screw here, right there, that has to come out. You're going to take those 3 screws out, all right? And you're going to set it back up. And you're going to take every screw back here out, okay? Once you get that out, this end will come off first. It's normally a little tough to get off. If you've gotten all the screws out, then you can take your pry bar and just kind of work it, and it'll come off just like that. You should use 2 hands, and then this will come off. Make sure that your machine is unplugged when you're doing this, okay? So this one's got several problems. When I got it in, it wouldn't come on. So if your machine won't come, if your Bernina like this won't come on, there's several different things it can be. Depending on your machine, you're going to have somewhere between 1 and 4 fuses. On this one has 3. This fuse, and this fuse. Okay. Check those fuses to see if they're burnt. All right, this right here is the main power coming into this machine. All right, if it's not properly plugged in, and sometimes it can look properly plugged in and not be, then it's not going to work. What you can do is at this point you can plug your machine in. This is the on-off switch. Okay, now some of them will have 2 switches here. And when it has 2 switches, one is for high and one is for low. It doesn't matter if you push one or both of them. But if it's got 2, I would just recommend pushing them both, okay? But anyway, you can push that in, and with your other hand, while it's plugged in, you're going to move this around and see if anything happens. See if it comes on, see if it makes any noise whatsoever. Now, yes, this is engaged, and so when it's plugged in, if you touch some of this, it will knock the crap out of you. Okay, so don't do that. You can touch this or this switch, or if there's 2, you can touch both of them and it won't hurt you. This one has another problem. The needle bar over here is not going up and down. There's a piece that disconnects the needle bar so that when you change stitches, it'll disconnect for a second and then reconnect. It's not reconnecting, so I'm going to show you what's going on with that. Depending on your machine, is going to be depending on how many wires you have right here. All of these wires that you have, it may be 4 like this one, or it could only be 1, or it could be 2, or it could be 3, whatever. They all need to be disconnected. You will have several screws. They all have a screw up here, and then usually a screw right here. Both of those have to be undone, and these wires have to be undone. This is going to fold down, and then it will come loose on these hinges right here, and you can remove this all together. Depending on your machine here, okay, very, very pertinent that you understand this. Depending on your machine is going to be depending on whether this panel comes off. Some of these machines, this panel is divided, okay? If it's divided, then most likely this doesn't come off, only this. You'll be able to tell that because there will be several other things protruding here that such as your cams will come through here, and this plate will hold your cams, and there'll be a couple other rods that hold that. If you have that, do not remove this plate, okay? If this is holding your cams and some other rods that go all the way through, and you remove this plate, the entire machine will come apart, and you'll never get it back together. I promise you that. So I'm going to go ahead and get this removed, and I'll be back. Okay, so I've got these wires undone. I've got this wire undone. I've got this wire undone. I remove this screw and I remove this screw. Now, some of these will have another screw, which this one does. You'll just have to look and see. Never force anything. Figure out why it doesn't move. So this screw right here, okay, is still holding it. So I'm going to remove that, just like that. And that's part of the plastic, I believe. So now this will just fold down. Make sure the wires are out of the way, okay? Take something like this pry bar right here, and you've got to be careful because you don't want to break this. And you're just gonna take that apart just like that, and it comes off just like that, okay? And there it is. Now you can take this and set it to the side, okay? Now you see how this is just one big plate, okay? This has to come off, and this has to come off, and then all these screws have to come off. Be very careful with these clips as they can fly. They've got several different names that aren't necessarily so nice, because when they fly, they're usually gone. So be very careful when you're taking them off. You can use a screwdriver, but put another finger up there so that if they go to fly, they hit your finger, okay? You don't want to lose them. And then you'll take the rest of the screws out and remove it. I'm going to get going and I'll be back. Okay, I kind of forgot, but if this is a one piece where the whole thing comes off, then you don't need to take this this clip off. You only take this one off, okay? And there's actually a spring back here. I'll show it to you in a minute. If it's a two piece and only this piece here comes off, then you have to remove this. You have to at least remove this and flip this out of the way. I always remove both of them and completely remove it. But when you remove this, being careful with those wires, you see there's a spring back there. On the two pieces, as I recall, there's not a spring, but on the one piece there is. So I've got that removed. I have actually looked at this already, and I have a problem in here on the back side. All right, so this piece right here, you see I'm moving my little pry bar. This plastic piece right here is what holds that needle bar. It moves back and forth, and it doesn't seem to be working. It doesn't seem to have any spring to it or nothing. Usually there's dirt or something in the way. You can see I'm just kind of moving it back and forth, and it's not working. So I am going to have to remove this whole end and see if that's repairable or if it's got some other issue. I goofed up and I did not get the video on removing the needle bar on the Bernina 1120. This is a Bernina 1005. It's obviously a lot different. It doesn't have all the electronics over here, but taking the needle bar out for the most part is the same. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I'll also have a picture in this video so you can see with arrows, so you can see, hopefully you'll understand that. But one thing I want to point out to you, this is one of the machines that I was talking about that has the two separate plates. You see how this one's made? You see how this sticks out? And you've got these screws here, this screw here with these two little things. Do not remove this plate. Absolutely, if you're working on a machine like this and it has the two separate plates and it has stuff coming through like this and these screws, do not remove this plate. This is the underside of the inner workings of the machine. And if you take this off, you'll remove everything. I've done that, and it took me 3 to 4 days to get everything put back together right so that it worked. You just do not remove this plate unless you are very familiar with Bernina, or you're in for learning how it works. One of the two. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get started here. Obviously, like I said, there's a few differences. Rather than having this wire, there are several smaller wires that come over to the light fixture and to a solenoid that operates the piece that was not working on the 1120. So here's what I'm going to talk to you about removing it, and then I'm going to remove it. On the 1120 has this, all right, this piece here. I recommend removing this screw and then removing these two. This piece will not come out, but this long piece will. It has to kind of be moved in, up and out. Once you've done that, then you want to start removing your light fixture. So you will remove these two screws, and you've got a switch here and a light, and you'll be able to remove that carefully. You've got some wires and stuff that you have to get around. Once you've got that out of the way, remove this screw where that solenoid goes and take that out. Pull all the wires back out of the way. All right. Now, it gets somewhat tricky here. So let me see if we can get in here. This one's a little bit harder than the 1120 because when you remove this, you have to remove the tension assembly with it. This little piece right here will keep this attached to your tension assembly, and it will keep you from getting the needle bar out. So, well, before we go that far, do you see this right here? This controls your needle swing, and it has to come apart. So, and you need to be very careful with it. This piece right here flips up, and it can be hard to get it to flip up. There it goes, just like that. Now I've got it flipped as far as it will go right now on this machine. Let me see if I can. No, this won't move at all. This one's stuck. It's an old machine and it's stuck. This little silver piece is a small ball, okay? When you do this, that ball is going to come out. So you've got to pull this back and up, and then that ball is going to come out. So I don't know if I can do it on this machine or not, because it's an old machine that's been in the dirt and everything else. There we go. So you see how I move that up? And you've got that ball, okay? Do not lose that. Absolutely do not lose that. When you go to put it back in, where'd I go? When you go to put that back in, you're going to put some grease on that because grease is going to hold it in place, all right? Now, once you've done that, then there are two screws. There's a screw right here and this one right here. All right, those two screws hold your tensioner in place. Once your light's out of the way, your solenoid's out of the way, you've got your tensioner undone, you've got your swing arm undone, then you're going to undo this screw and this screw. I don't know if you can see it. It's the same one, but it's over here, same type, because this rod right across here holds that whole unit in place, all right? This holds the top, and then, of course, this holds the bottom. So let me go ahead and do this and see if I can get this out. Now, on that other machine, you can't hardly see all this. It's really hard to get to. Once you remove this and you remove the light and stuff, it's a little bit easier, but you still don't have much room. So let's do this. I'm going to remove the light on this first. These screws, as you heard, can be very tight in there. So when you go to undo this, you want to push very hard in so that you don't strip the head on this screw. All right. Now, I cannot move this out of the way because this is in the way on this one. All right, but I will get all of this done. Show you how that operates. Maybe. Be very careful with this one. As you heard that pop, that was the screw letting loose. Again, make sure you really push hard on that. Okay, because if you don't, you're going to strip the head of that screw. And the better your screwdriver fits these screws, the less chance of stripping the head out. So you need a really good screwdriver that fits really well, and you need to put some pressure on it and push in. Some of them, like that one, will let loose easy. Others will not. It depends on how tight they were put in last time they were used. See how that is? And if there's any old dried oil on them or not. So once that comes out, then that's out of the way. Okay, now I'm going to try to get these two screws in here. You may have to turn, well, yeah, this one's froze up. Well, not completely. Turn the hand wheel on yours so that this stuff is out of the way and you can get to those two screws. Just like that. And this one, like on the 1120, this is easy to get to. The screw is. On this one, it's not. I don't know if I can get this undone or not. No. Okay. It's giving me a hard time. I have to work on this a minute. I messed the screw head up already. There we go. If you do what I just done, you want to be very careful. I hit it somewhat hard, but I didn't just really hit it hard, but it gives a vibration and it loosens the screw. Now that is a rawhide mallet. Do not ever use a steel hammer on these. I suggest that you use only a rawhide or wooden mallet. A rubber mallet will bounce and you will not get the vibration that you need. And you can break it. You can break your machine because you hit it so hard trying to create the vibration that you'll never create. And so the actual pressure that you put against it can break it. Okay, so now you get that out of the way, and then this one. Okay, now the rest of this is fairly tricky. You're going to pull this out and you got to work with that tensioner. This needle bar, yeah, I got the tensioner in the way on this. You got to be careful of that. Oh, I broke the needle on that. You should have the needle removed. This one, like I said, is a little tougher than the 1120 because of this plate. And I let this thing fall. There we go. All right. Now, see if I can. Okay, so if you can get the tensioner out, get it out because it's out of your way. Now, here's the deal. You've got two pieces. that have to slide apart here. Okay, and on this machine, it's not wanting to do it because it's actually this one may be, no, I don't think so. Okay, yeah, here we go. All right, so this piece has to come out, all right, right here. This has to come out here, and back here, this piece has to slide out, right? Oh, right here. Okay, this piece has to slide out right here. So they slide out, and then this whole thing will come out. I've got this far enough out, I can get the light fixture out of my way. Now, let's put some oil on this to try to make it easier. If you've been using your machine, this should not be a problem for you. Okay, you can see this one already came out, but this is not wanting to move. I'm able to turn it like this. Let's get some more, see if I can get some more oil in there. Okay. Yeah, that's this is when this is working properly. Oh, that's going the wrong way even. When this is working properly, that'll just slide out. Now, this is what happens when your lubricant starts drying up, starts becoming real sticky and starts turning to varnish. Okay. There we go. All right, so this piece right here and this piece have to come out. Hopefully your machine is not like this, and it will just slide out. If it is, it'll slide out pretty easily. When you go to put it back together, then you're going to put it back together in the opposite way. Okay, so you can see this right here. This is where the small one went. This is where the larger one goes. Okay. When you put it back together, you're going to put it back together in reverse. You're going to get this in there, and this one will start first. Okay. Let me put some more oil on this. Make sure. Like that, you're going to get that started. You're going to get this one down here. Okay, just like this. You need this in place so that it will go together. All right, just like that. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. And then you'll put your tensioner back in there. As you're putting the tensioner in, you've got to put this in at the same time, because you've got to put this in at the same time. Okay. On this machine, it can be a little tougher. I would recommend starting down here, something like this, and putting it in, because this has got to go there. And you can see it can be a real pain in the butt. Okay, now I've got that in there, and this just has to come up. So you'll get everything kind of in there the way it goes. And then you can put these two screws on to kind of hold it in place, and then get the tensioner up there and get both those screws in there, and then continue putting everything back together. Do not forget to put the swing lever back on. All right, you'll put the bearing on it with a little bit of grease, and you'll pull this over it, and then you'll close that little piece that turns, if that makes sense. If you got any questions, let me know. Again, I'm sorry. I'll have the next frame will have a picture of the actual 1120 with some arrows. All right. Thank you, and y'all have a great day. Okay, so here's the picture of the 1120. There's something very important that I need to go over with you right here in this red circle. I didn't talk about that on the 105 or 1005. Anyway, we will talk about that in here in just a second. The first thing that you're going to do is these two screws right here with the green arrow. You're going to remove them, and this entire light assembly. So this light down here at the bottom, this light switch, this light over here on the right, all that will come out. And just be really careful. You may have to cut some ties, plastic wire ties, in order to get the wires out of the way. And then you can just you can actually pull all the wires out of this tray over here, and just remove that completely. Then the third screw with the green arrow, this is the actuator, the solenoid that actuates the piece that I was having problems with. You'll remove that screw and pull that out and remove that. It's actually this piece right here. This is the screw, but this is the piece right here. So whoop. Once you've got that done, right back here where this circle is, there is a very small electronic board, and there is right behind this light, there's a screw. You will remove that screw, and this board will slide out of the way, and you'll just hang it off over here somewhere out of the way. All right, very, very important. It absolutely does have to be removed. It absolutely does. All right, once you've done that, then the blue arrows, and I goofed up on this center blue arrow right here. Don't remove that screw. Okay, it's the screw down below. Somehow I goofed that up. Sorry about that. This screw right here is the one that you will remove, and it will remove just like it'll come out just like it came out with the 1005. Remove these two, and then get this whole piece up out of the way. Once you've done that, then you can remove the remove the swing bar. That's this piece here, right here. You can't see right here, right above the red circle. You can kind of see it. It removes the exact same way. So you'll flip that little piece up, and then pull the bar out and up, and then you'll have that small ball, and you'll remove that. Make sure to put that somewhere safe, and then when you reinstall it, make sure you put grease on that, because you'll put everything, you'll put that in there, put the grease, put the ball against the cast aluminum, and then you will pull that arm back over the ball, and then lock that little tab into place. Okay, very, very important. If you have any questions on this, let me know. Once you've done that, the yellow screws here, you can go ahead and remove them, and that's going to loosen your tension assembly up here. You can see that it's much easier to get to here than it is on that 1005. Once those two screws are gone, and it's going to kind of fall, that's fine. Just don't let it get stuck in there like it did on the 1005. Once you do that, then these two red screws, you can remove them. And once you remove them, that whole unit will start to move. You will pull on this whole needle bar unit and on the tension unit both at the same time, and pull them out. You may possibly have an issue with this clip right here. If you do, you can take a pair of small needle nose pliers or whatever and squeeze that and pull it out. Just make sure that you replace that once you have the needle bar unit and the tensioner back in place. All right. Anyway, once you've done that, then you can remove this needle bar. You can remove this needle bar unit and pull it kind of out to the right, out towards you, and then to the right, getting the other two pieces to slide out. If you have any questions on this, let me know. When you put it back together, basically you're going to put it back together in the reverse, in reverse of this, and this is where the tensioner can really kind of be an issue, because you're trying to get the needle bar back in there, but you've got to get the tensioner in there as well, and that clip can kind of be in the way, especially then. So whether you take the clip out or not, it's up to you. Don't get rough with it and break this piece. Take it out if you need to. Just make sure that you put it back in. Okay, so I've got this whole piece right here out, as you can see. And the way this works is this little piece right here has it controls a little stud, and that little stud goes right in that hole right there, and it kicks out. It kicks further out than what's kicked right now, and pushes that stud into that hole, and then when this is pushed forward, it lets go. So I'm going to show you here. You can see the varnish, the coloring on it, the discoloring on it right here. That's varnish and stuff built up, and it's got some inside this, and you see it's not kicking in like it should. Right there it went. It did then, and now it works. Sometimes it kicks in, sometimes it doesn't. I've cleaned some of the lint up off this. This had a bunch of lint on it, and it's got a bunch of varnish built up on it. This is why, if you are one of my customers here, this is one of the problems with varnish. The varnish gets on there, dries up, and it causes all kinds of problems. If it gets in a bushing like this, it can lock a machine up, or a bushing like this, it can lock a machine up, right, in one of the main shafts. When it gets in an area like this, it can either lock a machine up or just cause it not to work right. In this case, it's causing it not to work right. So there's some varnish buildup in here. Okay, it's got some spring to it, but actually getting in there isn't working right. So I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to use denatured alcohol, and I'm going to clean this up real well. Then I'm going to re-lubricate it and see how it works. All right, there it is. I've got it all back together, the way it goes, and you can see it is now working. I got it cleaned up, got all the varnish cleaned off of it, and it's working great, just like it should. So next, I'll get all this put back on, and then next I'll take this off and clean under here. Okay, so I took the two screws out. I took this off the needle plate. I opened this up, pulled my hook and stuff out of there, and kind of cleaned it up. I still got a little bit more cleaning here to do. Get this little bit of crap off here. Anyway, and I'm going to lubricate everything that moves. You can see right here, all the stuff. Every moving joint gets lubrication. I'm going to show you. I want you to try to look right in this crack. Okay. It's hard to see. To the right, you see the bar moving back and forth. That's your hook. There are teeth on the bottom of that engage a wheel there. Hopefully you can kind of see that. It's really hard to see it. You can see it there underneath, looking right in here. Okay. You see how it's engaging there. You want to make sure that all those teeth are cleaned out real well and got all the lint out of it, because you can break that gear if it's not cleaned. So let me know if y'all have any questions.